It's Ball Up Top Podcast. I'm here with my boy Jabari Golston,
Yes, sir.
Ball Up Top Bari. It's Brad Guapovich. We're just here to talk hoops like we always do. I'm excited tonight because we had a lot of good games today. We had a lot of good games yesterday. I mean, we was having good basketball. Adam Silver's got a good product going right now with the games because I feel like most of the games are good. Even like the bad teams are playing pretty good. Like against the good teams, it's not like a bunch of blowouts, and there's been some surprise blowouts, like the Knicks blew out the Nuggets yesterday, and the Suns blew out the Lakers tonight. So those were kind of like unexpected, but the Lakers are sliding a little bit. We should probably
Mm-hmm.
talk about that. What do you want to get into first? We could talk about everybody coming back from injury, I think. That's probably the biggest story. Kevin Durant,
Mm-hmm.
Bradley Beal's back. Kristaps Porzingis is back. Ja Morant is back. We could talk about all of them because I watched every single one of them play. And Ja looked great. I'm like really high on Memphis right now. Today I just woke up and Memphis was healthy, and I'm just starting to feel like Memphis has a chance to make it out of the West. But I
Mm-hmm.
always feel like that when they're healthy. And John Morant's just super exciting. But not only is he that, but he's also the leader of the team and by far the best player. Creates all easy shots for like lesser players, sparks the team, and man, I just hope that we could get a whole couple months or full season of playoffs a job. But how many times have we been saying that? What do you think about your boy John Morant coming back?
Funny
He looked
enough, John last game out, next game with a knee contusion. So yeah, that's
he's out
that's
again.
that's yeah, he has a knee contusion. He's out next game. So I mean, that's fun, right? But
Bruh,
I just think that
maybe
I think
something. It's something
yeah,
minor.
I think they're being very very cautious. I'm not sure if it's serious because every time he's getting any kind of nicks, they sat him. So maybe it's not that serious, but I
See,
do
this
like
is shit.
yeah,
I didn't even know. I should have checked the injury report because I
yeah,
was gassing it. But I still want to just because that roster. I like that roster, like because I'm looking at the West as a
I agree.
whole, and I'm not moved. I'm
Hmm.
not impressed. Like OKC, its defense is elite, and they have the roster. But with Chet, we don't know what Chet's going to be. I know you don't feel great about Chet coming back and how he's going to look. I'm on the more hopeful side and the glass half full side.
Hmm.
I want Chet to come back because how great he looked and how OKC looks like a serious contender when he's out there. But I'm not moved by their shooting's not very good. Dort has become like one of their main shooters, and that when Lou Dort is your main shooter,
You have a problem.
or Wiggins, Aaron Wiggins. I mean, he's a good shooter, but I'm just saying these are your main shooters. SGA is not a good shooter. Like he can hit threes sometimes, but he's not going to shoot on volume threes. And I don't know. They're relying on twos from SGA, which is great, and him getting to the line. And he's been great lately, but I'm just not moved by them. Even though I like how Hartenstein looks now that he's back. That's big for them. And he's a really good. That was a great pickup by Presti
Hmm.
to get him. But it's a lot. He's a lot bigger upgrade than Caruso was. Caruso hasn't been playing good. Hasn't been shooting well. His defense is good still, obviously. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, as far as OKC, like you said, with alluding to the Chet injury, I'm just not really sure if we can, when he comes back, that we can expect him to be the Chet that we saw before the injury necessarily, just based off of the timetable. I mean, I'm pretty sure like
Yeah.
they said 10 to 12 weeks, so I'm thinking like mid-February maybe. But I mean, he's pretty much in the third year of his rookie contract. I mean, there's two sides to it because really you could. I feel like this year they have a window to be able to go compete for a title, right? Because it is his third. I feel like just using all of the years on the rookie contract because as like SGA's already signed his super max deal. Jalen Williams is going to have to sign a probably close to a super max that they're going to max him out. They're probably also
He's
going to
going
have
to
to
get a
max him
max
out,
for sure because
right?
that's what he'll fetch on the market. So they're going to
Right.
have to give it to him.
Right. So as far as the roster construction goes, like I feel like if you weren't to bring back Chad, they would be basically wasting a year of having all those young guys under salary. But at the same time, I mean, I just think for the long term like benefits of his career, I'm not sure if it would behoove them to say rush him back. I mean, I'm not sure because I'm not
Well, they
really
got a
sure.
lot of time. So,
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
they do have a
you're
lot of
acting like they're
time.
going to rush him back. They could have enough time. So they have like 4 or 5 months till the playoffs.
No, I agree, but I'm just not sure if he'll be the Chet that we saw before the injury
That's the
this
issue.
season.
Is he
This
going to
season,
be him,
right,
the same person? But it's a fracture on the hip, so see, it's not. He could heal right. It could just be a little fracture, you know.
right.
Even though he did hit hard, but I'm just saying it. I'm just trying to be hopeful about it. But
No, I agree,
I'm
but
just my point was that Ja Morant being healthy in Memphis,
hmm
the way Jaren Jackson looks, Desmond Bain hasn't even really got it going yet, but we know what he could do, and he's probably even more improved once he hits his stride. Because Desmond Bain gets literally better every single season, like at something in some facet of his game. So those three is a really good big three in the West. And then you got the others too. Aldama had 17 rebounds the other game. Like
hmm
there's other dudes that can contribute. They have a deep team. Scottie Pippen Jr., even Marcus Smart. Obviously, he's not prime Marcus Smart, but he's still going to make winning plays, and he's still a positive on the court. He's not going to be a negative. Um, I just like their team. I think Edie's hurt, but what's his name? Clark. Is it Brandon Clark?
yeah, he's looked better.
He's a good. Yeah, he's a good big. Like he's a good bench big. Shit, I would take him on the Celtics. Like he's good. He's pretty good. I don't know. Because I'm trying to think of the other teams in the West because people say how the West is so great,
hmm
but I'm looking at all the teams in the West and I'm just like, how many of these teams are really actually that good?
Right,
Because Minnesota's like 8 and 9 right now, but I still feel like they're one of the best teams in the West. They just haven't gotten their shit together.
right.
We could talk about them because that's a game I definitely want to get into because we just watched that and with Rob Dillingham was getting busy until the Chris Finch pulled him out in overtime, and that's to me is what lost him the game because
He was controlling it.
he made one rookie mistake. He got ripped by
hmm
one of the best defenders, Amen Thompson. So that's going to happen, but he got stolen from him at a big moment. But he was one of the reasons why they were even back in that game,
Right, same.
and he was playing great.
I mean, even the same thing in the Celtics game. He was the same. He was the reason why they got back into
He
the
was
Celtics game because it's just like when he comes in the game, he controls the game, and that's what Minnesota needs. They need someone that can control the
yeah,
offense and kind of run the offense, as we saw in the fourth. Well, really, mostly in overtime because that's when Rob didn't play. Like they just weren't able to
yeah.
generate good looks consistently. And I just think that if they were to inject Rob more into the lineup, like I just think that just his ability to play on and off the ball, his ability to just move the ball around quickly, just to be able to get to his spot. Especially like I mean, even the game he was beating guys like Dylan Brooks and Ahmed Thompson downhill. Right, he's getting to his
Oh,
spots on those
he's
guys, and
quick.
those
You can't guard him off the dribble. I mean, I meant Thompson could, but like nobody else really can.
right,
Like I meant Thompson is a freak defender, one of the best like 99 percentile defenders in the league. Anybody else is going to get cooked. He's to me, he's like one of them guys where it's just like you better hope he missed because he's going to
mm-hmm.
find a way to get shot off.
Yep,
That's how quick he is. I really like. He's showed me a lot in the last couple games because I always like his highlights. I even said that in a tweet that he like plays exactly how he plays in like a like those pro am highlights or the high school highlights I was watching, and he was just toasting people. And I was like, yeah, this guy's good, but we'll see how if he can translate that to the NBA because a lot of guys can do shit like that in college or whatever in high school, and then you see them and they come to the league, and it doesn't look like that.
right,
And then you got guys like Lamelo and Rob Dillingham that come out of high school and they're toasting guys just like they were in high school and
yep,
look the exact same way. So like I really like him. I don't know about him on defense, but I
mm-hmm.
think that he's like kind of a
I mean, he
dog where he's not
tries.
just going to get bullied. He will get bullied sometimes, but he's not just going to like take it and be like a cone. I don't think he'll be a cone. I think
Right, yeah,
he's
he
got a
does.
little bit of dog in him.
He does try defensively, and Minnesota does have the defenders, in my opinion, to be able to cover for him defensively. So I don't think that should be too much of an issue. It's just,
Yeah.
is he gonna get the minutes or not? And considering that, I mean, even just the last few games, I mean, when he's played extended minutes, he's kept Minnesota in the game twice now, and pretty much
Yeah.
through basketball. So it's
Yeah.
like at that point, I think that Minnesota's in such a spot now where they're 8-9 that they can make a drastic decision like that and start to play a guy like that more minutes because you clearly need what he provides.
Yeah. And the Rockets look really good. We could talk about them too, but my last thing on Minnesota is uh, that this is how I know Dillingham is important to the Wolves because he was playing so good
Mm-hmm.
that Randall was getting the rebound and Randall was acting like
Giving
he
it
was the
to
point guard. And no, and I was like, give it to Dillingham, like because every time they gave it to Dillingham, something good happened.
right.
And sometimes they would try to be the point guard themselves, even Ant-Man. And I'm like, give it to Dillingham because he's gonna make something happen. And I know that obviously you want Ant-Man with the ball and Julius
Mm-hmm.
Randle with the ball like most of the time, but when he's feeling it, I feel like he's one of those players that he could get momentum, and if he's got a little 10-point run in him, or he's going to be one of those guys that could spark the team. So, but Houston has been playing great basketball,
Mm-hmm.
great defense. It should be expected because that's what Ime has been since he's been a head coach in the NBA, is a straight up defensive coach, and he's going to get his team to play defense, and he's got elite defenders on his team. So it's kind of similar to the Celtics, just there's no Jason Tatum, and now he's got like Alfred Sengun playing that spot basically. And so it's not going to be as elite on offense, but his defense is pretty much the same. It's a lot of switching. Dylan Brooks and even Jabari Smith has been playing a little better. Defensively, he's not as like elite as I thought he was going to be coming out of college. And then you got the Terror twins, Tari Eason and Amen
Oh man.
Thompson.
Yep.
Yeah, man, and he's a monster. And Tari Eason's a monster on defense too. They're both like leading the NBA in rebounding off the bench. Or one of them's number one off the bench, and then the other one is number two off the bench in the whole NBA. So they're bringing it on defense, and that's all Ime is, just passion, and he just that's his game. I mean, he's just a defensive coach. He has some things to be desired on offense, I think, but as far as defense, he's going to get people to lock up, and he's got the personnel to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what they've been doing to pretty much everybody. But tonight they were doing it to, Ant Man's settling for a lot of shots, and I think that they were letting him basically um, because they don't want him down. That's why, because Sengun can't really protect the rim, especially if it's Ant Man.
Right.
But really, what lost in that game, and my pet peeve with Minnesota is Jaden McDaniels, because obviously he's a lead on defense, but he holds them back to me on offense like a lot. Not every night, but some nights he just gets wide open looks because that's the guy that the defense is going to leave open, and he can't hit him. And that's just going to make you the 15th ranked offense in the NBA instead of like if that guy could actually hit shots at, say, a Cam Johnson level, because I was saying that they should look into trading for Cam Johnson, but for that reason, because if they could hit, if I think Jaden McDaniels is shooting 31% from three this year. So if that was a 40% 3-point shooter, that offense goes. I mean, not single handedly, but that would help the offense get into a top 10 offense at least. And to me, that's the direction that they need to go. I'm not saying that they will, but I don't know what else they're going to do this year. Are you going to stay middling, or are they going to make a move? Julius Randle's up for a contract, so he's probably going to, unless you sign him, they may sign him to like a deal that they like, but
Mm-hmm.
probably not. It's probably going to be he goes in free agency and you go with Nas Reed at power forward. That's my guess that that's what they're going to do. And I don't know. I just feel like they should try to go for it this year because the West looks kind of open.
All
Like
right.
there's no juggernaut, and they're like 8-9 right now, or is that their record, or nine and
Yeah, they're
nine?
eight. Yeah, they're 8-9.
And so now's a crossroads. They're in an interesting spot. What do you think about what I'm talking about?
I mean, it kind of, I because even though Jaden hasn't been hitting shots, one thing I have liked about him this year, I mean, they have needed him to rebound more, and right, just with the
Yeah,
with the loss of Cat, and I think
right.
he's been able to do that. And I think defensively, like he could be much better if he wasn't just strictly used as a POA guy. That's my biggest gripe with how they use him. I think I said this before, but that's my
Yeah,
biggest
more
gripe.
off ball because he's long.
Yeah, because he's longer and he can do some rim protection stuff. And if he is rebounding at this level, you can use him as a help defender and stuff like that. So I would like to use. I do kind of agree with you offensively because I mean even in the Celtics game, you like they left him open. They were basically daring
Yeah,
to beat them, right? And that's
yeah.
pretty much
And that's going to be all playoffs. They're going to
that's
do
how they're
that.
going to be in the playoffs. And last playoffs, he was able to take advantage of that. Like he was able to attack closeouts consistently. He was able to make shots. I mean, in the Dallas series, he wasn't necessarily the reason they lost. It was the fact that Cat and Ant didn't show up to play. So, I mean, I would like to see a
But
little
you
bit
can't go
longer.
off that small sample size and say since he hit shots in the playoffs last, year, he's going to do it this year. Because
Right.
as
That's not. Yeah.
percentages go, that's the thing about percentages is you could get hot and then you're due to get cold again. So it just all depends on what time you know that he's in
Mm-hmm.
whatever, but I'm
When he's
not
in his
hating on
groove.
Jaden McDaniels. We've had this conversation a couple times on the pod, but I just feel like that's the spot that they got upgrade because you can't really do anything with Julius Randle because he's not an asset like because he's a free agent. So nobody's going to really trade for him like that. So and Jaden McDaniels is the only spot that maybe Mike Conley they could do something with Mike Conley's contract, but I'm just trying to look into something for them because I feel like Dante
To the
progresses
main.
back to his old self, then they still have a chance to be one of the best teams in the West, in my opinion. They
Right.
just got to fight through this little spot that they're in right now. And if they could get their offense just a little bit better by upgrading with a move, then I think they should. But let's talk about my team real quick because Porzingis came back, and that's huge. And I know that I said that I don't think he's going to stay healthy the whole year. Um, it's doesn't mean that I'm not praying that he does because when he's playing, it's one of the best basketball teams in NBA history, in my opinion, when they're all playing like that. When they're all healthy and you got Porzingis, Jalen, and Tatum on the court together, and Derek White and Drew Holiday, like that starting five is crazy. And now the way the Pritchard's playing, it's an elite team. But Porzingis looked great, but obviously I'm super nervous because every time he boxes out, every time he goes up for a rebound, every time he goes up for a lob,
You're scared.
literally, bro, I'm petrified, dude. So it's kind of hard to watch, honestly. It's fun to watch when he's doing good and shit, but at the same time, when he goes for a crazy block or something, I'm just like, please don't like fucking, you know, fall
Land
wrong or
bad.
something.
Right.
So I hope they just play him like 20 minutes a game for two reasons. Because I've liked that seeing like Jason Tatum get more usage because he doesn't get the like same amount of usage that other players get, like
Mm-hmm.
some of the other bigger stars. And so, like, it's been nice to see Tatum get the ball and get more usage. And now that Porzingis is back, it's like, well, now his usage is going to go back down again. So, and I like to watch my favorite player with the ball. So, like, I like my team for the haul. I love my championship team, like, because I feel like it's built to win a championship. But at the same time, like, you know what I mean? I want to see Tatum do his thing. And sometimes I feel like he defers because he's like, we're going to be up 20 and like, and our team is stacked, so I don't really have to do that much, and I don't want to see him play like that. I liked when he had a chip on his shoulder. I don't want him to come out like the last couple games. He's been coming out, I think, like he kind of did last year, where he was easing into the game and shit like that. And I don't want to see him playing like that. I want to see him come out aggressive and like he was at the beginning of the season because he really looked like he had a chip on his shoulder. It's okay to have a chip on your shoulder. You don't have to be like passive just because your team's good. Like fuck that.
Right.
So that's how I feel about that. But anyways, Porzingis, just praying to the basketball gods for health and prosperity, bro. But did you watch him play
Yeah,
at all?
yeah, they look damn good. I can't lie. They look like the best team in the NBA. To be honest, I mean,
Yeah.
just it's just that combination of the five players in the court is just very hard to beat, especially with like what's really it's just when you guys are attacking closeouts and a lot of teams just don't know how to like keep guys in front of them. Like you're pretty much
Yeah.
dead at that point. So it's like
And
if
Porzingis is a cheat code, man.
yeah, because he can pump, he can go off the dribble, he can do stuff in the post. That like he's just a
Yeah.
versatile big. He can
And
do a little
his
thing.
shit that he does in the post, he's figured out and kind of mastered where the way he gets into his jump shot, swings into his jump shot, you're either gonna foul him if you
Hmm.
contest it, or he's just gonna shoot right over you. So it's like one or the other. And it's kind of a cheat code. So I love Porzingis when he's in there because he kind of brings that inside game that we don't have too. Unless
Right.
Jalen's going to get down there, and Tatum every now and then will get in the post and stuff, but he's not like this year. He's been posting up a lot less, and he's been doing a lot more driving, which it's whatever. He's been efficient this year, so I love the way Tatum's been playing. But he used to post up more, and he doesn't really post up a lot. So it's nice to have a guy that posts up. So, anyways, that's my Celtics piece. I have to always get my little Celtics piece in, but it was really just because Porzingis come back,
Yeah,
so
because
I
the
had
game
to.
back.
Yeah, and they really do look scary good. Like, and I know everybody's just like, oh, Porzingis is gonna get hurt again, and I'm like, yeah. you better fucking hope he gets hurt because if he doesn't, it's just gonna be trouble for everybody. But let's talk about KD and Beal because they look great tonight. That's a team in the West, another one that could make a run. Uh, I don't love Nurkic. I think that's the one weakness in their on their team. If they could get a defensive center in there, be a lot better. But KD looked like KD tonight. He was efficient. Uh, he was running in transition. He looked great. Did you watch?
Oh yeah, I watched some of the. I didn't watch. I watched the first half of the Lakers game. I didn't watch the second half, but I
Yeah,
mean, KD did like KD, like you said. I mean, the Suns' offense. I mean, even last year they looked pretty. They look pretty good just with the constant ball movement between Booker, Beal, and Kevin Durant. And then you add Tyus Jones to that mix. You have guys like Royce O'Neal coming off the bench hitting shots. I mean, Ryan Dunn. He's kind of fallen off a bit, but I mean, when he's hitting his shots, he's a very good player. Um,
yeah,
the Nurkic piece. I mean. Yeah, it's much to be desired at the center position, which is why I don't really necessarily believe in them as contenders, just
right.
because of his defensive flaws, in my opinion. And then I feel like he will get played off the court in some series. Well, I'll probably say in most series, especially defensively, because I mean we saw last year in the Minnesota series, he just wasn't that effective at times. I feel like they would have to play KD at the five at some points in times during
Yeah,
the playoffs, and I'm not really sure how that will work out for them. But I do like them a lot. I do like them as a regular season team. I think they'll probably be like a top five seed if they're able to stay healthy, which is
yeah,
a big if. But I mean, they look good tonight, and it's really their offense. Their offense is just especially with Mike Budenholzer coming in. I feel like it's just very consistent. They're getting a lot of ball movement on the perimeter
yeah,
between like because just they have a lot of guys who can shoot triple pass between Bill Booker, like I already said, and Bill. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean yeah, I like them as a regular season too.
Yeah, they're a good team and they're good enough to spank the Lakers tonight. Their
Yeah, the
offense is really
Lakers.
good.
Yeah,
Lakers are sliding. JJ looks stressed. He's got to go into his dark room after a loss, he said. So he's
yeah,
been doing that a lot lately. But he's probably like Bane right now. Has so much darkness he's been getting.
yeah.
But
I just feel like with the Lakers. I mean, I feel like just they don't have a good defense outside of AD, and I think the biggest problem with the Lakers is that their role players aren't very consistent. And if you notice with a lot of the teams that are really really good now in the league, it's you have your stars, but it's really kind of more so revolving around your role players, in my opinion. Just
yeah,
like I think you need to have 3 to 4 consistently good role players on your roster to be a very
yeah,
good team. Now,
you do.
the Lakers just don't have that. I mean, I think Connect. I mean, but he's a rookie, but he's
He's
very
pretty good.
mature for his age. But I'm not
Yeah.
sure, like, because if you're trying to play Austin Reeves and connect together defensively, that's pretty bad, right? And the Lakers already lack a lot of defensive
You
players
can't throw those
outside
two
of
white boys out there to get roasted.
yeah. I feel
No,
like
you just can't, bro. I'm
yeah,
telling you, you can't do it. You
and
can't
then
do
you
it in the
also have
playoffs.
LeBron on the
And
court, and then like at that point, AD, pretty much the only positive defender consistently, unless you're throwing guys like Cam Reddish in the game or Gabe Vincent, who are
which they've been doing because,
and
or they did a couple games ago. I was seeing him in the starting lineup. I
and
don't know
they're
if he still is.
nah, he's pretty much a zero offensively. They've tried Max Christie at the two. I mean, I think he's probably their best shot at being like a quote unquote 3 and D player, but I'm not sure if he's going to ready to be
I still
consistent
think
yet.
that they'll probably make a move,
Hmm.
for like a Robert Williams or maybe a Zach LaVine. I heard Colin Sexton, like a couple names that the Lakers might get, or try to get a package of like if
Hmm.
they could get a Walker Kessler and a Colin Sexton, which is a rumor that I heard. They'd have to give up like some of their good picks or like the last pick that they do have that is good. But if they could get Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton, then now you're talking about a big difference. So that might be, but right now it's kind of how I called it at the beginning of the season, and then they had that run,
Hmm.
and I started to get excited about how with all the things JJ was doing because their offense actually is a lot better this
Yeah, it
year.
looks more. Yeah, it looks
But
smoother.
the way they're running, it's a lot smoother. Smoother. It's just they're not hitting shots. Like some nights they're not hitting shots, especially if Connect's not out there.
Hmm.
They don't have a lot of good shooters, and but they're really their defense is weak too because like you said, LeBron's not a good defender, and then it's just AD out there basically trying to block every single shot out there. He can't do everything, so
Yeah,
they
because the
need
guys are
some.
giving up a lot of free blow-bys and things like that. They just don't have a lot of guys. They just don't have a lot of players that can stay in front of people. And you're just and
Yeah,
they if you don't have I mean it's kind of like how Rudy was in Utah, low key.
right. Yeah, basically, it's just like Rudy trying to do everything. You're right, exactly, and that's why they could never. It was just that and the 3-point shots. At least Utah had three, had could shoot, and Lakers
Right, they
just
were
had.
like a top 10. They were top 5 offense consistently. The Lakers don't
Yeah,
have
they
that.
had a great offense. Yeah, Quinn Snyder had them cooking, but and obviously Donovan Mitchell. But yeah, the Lakers. I don't know. They got to make a move, but we'll
TBD.
see what
Yeah.
they do. Yeah, TBD. Giannis, Giannis is hurt, but his before he got hurt, he was playing great
Hmm.
MVP level basketball. His mid range has been kind of elite this year. He's shooting it a lot, and he's also like well, actually he's been attacking the basket more, but
Hmm.
his mid range has been way more efficient this year. He's shooting like almost 50%, which I was saying that is going to be big for his like long term um, outlook because that can save himself some wear and tear if he's hitting this mid range at a decent clip. Then that means that he doesn't have to drive as much, especially during
Hmm.
the regular season over the like the next couple 4 or 5 years. If he's able to shoot his mid range a little bit more and save his body for the playoffs, that could bode well for the Bucks or whatever team he's on, and for him just to say because he has to do everything for his team basically him and Dame do, but he has to put so much of his physical like power and strength into the game, and that over a course of a season, that's why he's been hurt the last couple of years in the playoffs because all the shit that he has to do during the regular
Right.
season. We've seen that in the course of time with players that have super high usage and are physical players like Harden and other players that they have to carry so much of the load, and then they get the playoffs even Luca, and they get to the playoffs and they get tired or they get less efficient because they've had to do so much or they get injured. Um, Russell Westbrook, like there's been a bunch of players that been like that over the years, and it's because they have to carry so much of the load. But even Giannis is more intense and more like physical, so it's even more wear and tear on his body. Even though he's a beast and he could take it, he's built like that. But I don't know. I just feel like the mid range is a big deal for him. And Dame looked great tonight.
Hmm.
I don't know about the rest of their roster, but they're kind of playing their best ball like that they played. At least Giannis and Dame, not the rest of them, but they're getting their shit together a little bit.
Yeah, they are catching a low steam. Like you said with Giannis, I did notice that through like the first 4 or 5 games that he was starting to take more mid rangers and they were going in. And I think that's just opening up his entire game because I feel like it makes it easier for him to drive. The defense does have to play him at like the free throw line and things like that. Just based
Right.
off of how long his strides are and just how good of a finisher, how good of an acrobat he is, like with his strength and things like that. So,
Yeah. It leaves a
it,
little extra crease in the defense because they have to
mhm.
come out a little bit more, and that means a lot for Giannis.
And if he's able to do that, I mean, he's you know top 2 player in the sport consistently. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he's been.
and like you said, they have been playing better over the past, and they're gonna get Milton back soon as well. I think Middleton. I think did Middleton. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch that game today. Did Middleton come back today? I'm not
I
sure.
don't know, but I did read that he was going to be right back. I don't think he came back. I think he's like playing 5 on 5
Yeah, five
though.
on five. Yeah, but when they do get Middleton back, I mean, I'm not sure how he's gonna look when he does come back from the injury. Just based off of
Yeah.
the surgery that he had. He had 2 ankle surgeries this offseason. We'll see how he comes around from that. But I mean, I think
I'm
just
just
the
gonna think that he's gonna look how he looked last time he came back from injury, which is pretty good on offense and not good
Yeah,
on
bad
defense.
defensively. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
mean, I just I mean with the Bucks, I mean just the way that the East does look. I mean, it's not impossible for them to make a run. I wouldn't be surprised they end up as the top 6 seed. Just how mediocre, well, record wise, how mediocre the East is right now. So
yeah. And then
yeah,
if you get into a 7 game series with Giannis and Dame,
right.
anything can
You
happen.
have a good
Honestly,
chance.
yeah, you have a puncher's chance, and I could see them beating some teams above them in the East if they're like a 6 seed or a 5 seed. I could definitely see them beating the Knicks or the. Not saying that they would, but I'm just
Hmm.
saying that they could. Like they have a chance to beat one of the higher, even the Cavs. Uh, it's possible that Giannis could just come in and drop 50, like, and dominate. So I think that they've been looking better lately, and Doc Rivers is not doing his magic or any because not like he has any magic, but I don't know. I think that it's good that they're playing the kid from UConn more,
Oh yeah, Andre Jackson. I did like him as a
Andre
prospect.
Jackson.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
like
get to some
him. I
energy,
like
some athletic pop.
yeah, and even what's that guy's name? The shooter, the
Oh,
white guy,
AJ Green.
AJ Green. Yep, he's not a good player, but he's at least a good shooter, and
Right.
they need that out there. So Doc's trying to work with what he got. So Lamelo has been going crazy. Brandon Miller has been playing really good lately. So I know you wanted to talk about your boy
Yes,
Lamelo because he's
sir.
been tearing it up.
Yeah, man. Lamelo's looking like I mean, I asked a question on Twitter. I mean, I don't think he is the best point guard in the NBA, but he has offensively at least he's been playing like the best point guard in the NBA through the first 15 games of the season. I mean, he's just a special talent, 6'7" guy who can handle the ball. He can shoot the way he does. Who can just beat guys with a dribble the way he does. He can play on and off the ball, and he's a very elite passer. I mean, he's just like I said, one of the best offensive engines in the sport. And if you're able to build a team around a guy, I mean, because it's pretty much just him and Brandon Miller going to war with whatever team they're playing every night. If you're actually able to assemble the team around that guy, I mean, the sky's the limit for that team. Because like I mean, even because I mean,
Around build the team around both of them because
yeah,
these are
both of them.
two to me cornerstone franchise players. I
I
feel
agree.
like when I feel like when Brandon Miller's 27, 28 years old, he's going to be number one option, and Lamelo's already a number one option. So like they're good on offense. They're good. They
Hmm.
need to get some defense
Right.
on that team. I love watching Lamelo play. He's one of my favorite players to watch right now. He's super entertaining. They were saying that he plays like he got AirPods on, and that was the perfect description
Nah, it
because
really
he
does.
really do. He really do, man. And he's got something special about him that he he doesn't play like anybody else. He's got his own style. He's fun to watch. Yeah, so Lamelo, he's been frying everybody. His like he's inefficient sometimes. He takes a lot of field goal attempts, but his
Hmm.
team is sorry, man. So I don't blame him at all. Well, we know he's a great passer, so I'm not like gonna act like Lamelo's a ball hog. I do always talk to you about his defense because I don't like
Right.
his defense, but I feel like when he does have a better team and better like chance to win every night and a better defensive um just personnel on his team, then he's going to be forced to play better defense. And I'm hoping that he does that. Like he's got the size for it. He's got the athletic ability to be a decent, at least guard for a point guard. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He like there's no reason why he can't at least be a good defender. And one of his main problems, obviously, is fouling too much. But
Right.
I don't really want to talk about the negative because I just think that he's been playing so good that you're right. He's been the top five at least point guard between SGA, Luca. I would say De'Aaron Fox, Lamelo Ball. Who else? Brunson. Am I missing anybody? But those would
Steph.
probably be, oh, of course, the GOAT. Steph Curry should have been the first one I named. But those are like he's top five ish point guard. I'd say that he's been playing better than Brunson for sure, and probably been playing better than Luca, honestly. But just for not saying he is better than Luca, just
Hmm.
been playing
Right.
better.
Playing better.
But yeah, I love watching him play, and he's just something. He's one of those stars that everybody in the NBA and the NBA media needs to get behind and just pump up because he's great. He's like Ant. He's like Ja. He's like
When he comes to
the
town, it's a
next face
show.
of the league. Yeah, he's one of those next face of the league, and I hope that he gets a little bit more maturity because I'd be listening to his press conferences and stuff, and I'm just like roll my eyes because I remember when I was that age and I didn't give a fuck either. So I get it, but you gotta kind of when you're the franchise player, like I feel like he needs to take shit a little bit more serious. But
Right.
that's a conversation for another day. Um, what else? Oh yeah, since I brought up Luca, Mavs been playing good without Luca. I'm always the one that talks about Luca, so I don't even want to talk about Luca. How about you do the Mavs? How they've been playing?
Yeah, your guy Najee, man, he's been out there making a difference on both sides of
And
the
he
ball
actually
for him.
played good that one game before Luca went out too. So I will
Yep.
say that Najee was been playing good lately. It wasn't just because Luca was gone. He played that. I think he played good one game before Luca went out. But go ahead.
Yeah, they're just pretty much getting contributions from across the roster with Luka out. Like I think you sent me a stat. What was it the other day that Kyrie shooting like 80%? I mean, I think it dropped. I might have dropped
From the
the
pull
past
up,
2 games,
yeah,
but
pull
from
up threes.
pull up three, he was still like 80% from that range. So yeah, Kyrie's been very good. I mean, Lively's been getting into foul trouble, but like the two-headed monster between him and Gafford is still a really good center rotations. PJ Washington's been doing his thing. Like I said, your guy Najee, he's been pretty good. Clay's been inconsistent. He's been,
Yeah.
he's been up and down. It's kind of who Clay
I
is.
said at the first podcast we ever did that I think that Najee was going to be a more important piece than Klay Thompson,
Right,
and it's gonna bear out by the time playoffs come because I feel like Najee's going to be needed for his defense,
right. I
especially
agree.
when you got Kyrie and Luka out there. You need a defender out there, and Najee's at least I would say like a B to a B plus defender. He's not an A to play. He's not elite, but he's a lot better than Klay on that end, and I think that's important. So
Yeah,
I
even a guy like Quentin Grimes, I mean, could potentially be
he
more
has
suited
good
for a
games
playoff
too
series
sometimes.
than Clay, just based off his defensive ability and I mean, when he is hitting shots, I think that he's more valuable to the Mavs than Clay would be, just because he's able to be a two-way presence at that
And
point.
Clay is still going to have his games where he gets
Right, where he's really hot.
cooking and
Hmm.
yeah, he catches, shoots hits 4 or 5 threes and a half and shit like that, and that's great. But I'm just saying in certain playoff matchups, and your Jason Kidd is trying to make chess moves.
Hmm.
Najee Marshall is going to be one of those pieces, right there with PJ Washington. Especially sometimes PJ Washington doesn't play good, and then you got a guy like Najee that you can put out there instead.
Right.
So yeah, Kyrie is basically the reason why they've been playing good without Luka. Kyrie has been probably even better this year than he was last year.
Last year.
Um, I think Kyrie's been playing great. He thrives with or without Luka, but he really thrives when Luka's not out there because I think he just likes to have that. He's kind of like Harden, where
Hmm.
he just likes to have that freedom out there to do whatever, and he doesn't want somebody like waiting for the ball. Um, and Harden's like that. He plays better when he doesn't have like a KD and Kyrie waiting for the ball or
Like
whatever,
as he's doing right
or
now.
or Embiid.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say he's
Yeah,
playing. Well, he hasn't been efficient, but he's still doing his Harden thing.
right. And you could tell that like he's enjoying himself. He ain't got no
Hmm.
complaints.
Right.
He's got the ball 24/7. He gets to do whatever
Taking
he
any
wants.
shot he wants.
And
Yeah.
I think that's how Kyrie is. But obviously Kyrie's a lot. I wouldn't say a lot more elite than Harden, but it's pretty close. But I think I would take Kyrie over Harden right now.
Oh yeah, right now, I think I'd probably take
It depends what kind of team you got, but I don't know. That's a good
if I needed
question
a
for
second
another day.
option, I'd probably take Kyrie because I think he's just more a dependable scorer at this
Right.
point in his career. But I think if I wanted a guy to like run my team, I might take Hart. I can't even. I mean, but the way Kyrie's been playing without Lucas so far this season, I can't even necessarily.
I'm taking Kyrie, but Harden is a better passer, and like you said, he could run a team better. But anyways, I think that's been helping out Kyrie a lot. But they're gonna need to integrate Luca back in, and I'm hoping that now that Luca sees that they've been winning without him, he'll come and be a little bit better sport, be a little bit better teammate, because that's what really what they've been looking for. Because when he's letting people blow by him, then he's looking at them and got his hands up and saying and almost blaming his teammates and shit like that. Now they're gonna be looking back like we was just winning, bro, before you came back and started doing this shit. So, but Luca, knowing Luca, he'll probably come out and score 40 first night and
Right.
they'll win and everything will be all right. But I still think they're a team in the West that could make a run. The Nuggets are another team that I I'm not ready to throw the towel in on yet, just because they got the best player in the world. But the Knicks, they're they're getting their shit together, and they beat the brakes off the Nuggets last night. So I don't know. The Knicks, their offense is really good.
Hmm.
Uh, Cat has been playing phenomenal. This is probably the best Cat season offensively. Brunson's about the same. He doesn't, because Cat's there, so he doesn't have to do quite as much scoring, but he still can. And OG is probably the biggest difference. We said that OG was going to be maybe their number two most important player on the team. I know you were saying that, and it's like the way he's playing, he might make the All Star team this year. OG, if he keeps playing like this, but he's important for them. And Mikal Bridges hasn't been playing that great, but when you got OG kind of filling that role that Mikal Bridges is supposed to fill, honestly, with the scoring. So the Knicks, I don't know, they've just like they've been a lot better, and I want to see what happens when they get Mitchell Robinson back. But the Nuggets, Jamal Murray was saying that like, oh, we got lives outside of basketball. Did you see that?
Oh, that's crazy. He said that?
Yeah, he said after the LA game, he said that they lost. Well, they came back and they lost the Knicks, and after that game last night, Jamal Murray said, "Well, not everybody came back right back to the to Denver. A lot of people stayed in LA because they live in LA, and guys got lives outside of basketball and this and that." And he was basically coming up with all these excuses of why they played bad, or maybe he was throwing his teammates under the bus.
Yeah, that could be right either way. But
But
I feel like a comment like that. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to say, but at the same time, it's probably not a good look, especially if you're coming off of a game like that and you get blown out by how much they lost by. I mean, I know that
20 something.
you're like 20 something, and I just think that that's probably just wasn't necessarily the best thing for him to say at that time. I don't. I mean, I can't really judge Denver too harshly just simply because they are missing Aaron Gordon. He's
And
probably
Jamal Murray was the wrong person to say that because he was the one looking crazy and getting smoked. Jamal
yeah,
Murray's been looking like he's cracked out, bro. He does not look the same. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's fried, bro. He's lost a lot, man. I'm getting mad at him watching the TV. He's making me mad because I don't know what happened to him. I'm like, yo, what happened? Where did Jamal Murray go? They took your powers like the Monstars, man. Like, what's going on, bro? And you're out here getting fried on defense. You're missing shots you always make, little mid-range shots you're wide open to, and you're missing
yep,
them. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And he's the reason why the team looks suspect right now because Christian Braun's playing pretty good. They don't have Aaron
Aaron
Gordon back.
Gordon, right?
Yeah, when Aaron Gordon gets back, obviously he's a really good player. Michael Porter Jr.'s even been pretty good for me. Uh, it's just you, bro. You were the problem. Even Russell Westbrook has been playing good. That's the one thing I want to say. Russell Westbrook, that's how good Jokic is. That Russell Westbrook looks good again. At least a good bench player. Like, come on, man. You're the only one. What's wrong with you, dude? Like, but anyways, I don't know why he was the one to say that. It should have been Jokic. If Jokic
Yeah,
would
it
have
should have
said
been
that, I would have
someone.
felt
Yeah,
different.
I
You
just feel
know?
like, yeah, but I just think, especially with the Nuggets game versus the Knicks, I just think that they were able to take advantage of Jokic a lot in space because of just the 5 out little thing that they run, and Cat was able to attack them a lot of times just off of just closeouts and things like that. So I just think that gave Jokic a lot of trouble defensively, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
I just don't think the Nuggets have enough scoring offensively outside of Jokic to be able to supplant like how bad their defense is, especially without Aaron Gordon, who's a really good. Like, Aaron Gordon just really ties everything together for them. He's probably at this point their second best. So if you don't have a guy like that, I mean, you're gonna struggle, and they have been.
Yeah. That's facts. So, but I'm not giving up on them because maybe Murray like plays himself into shape, and um, once that happens, and if Murray ever starts playing like the real Jamal Murray that we all know, then they are right back in the mix. They got everything else they need, especially if
Mm-hmm.
they get Aaron Gordon back. But and they obviously they own the Lakers because they played great against the Lakers, and I was feeling like they might be like back, but then the next night that happened.
All
So
right,
uh, let's talk about the Rockets, even though we already did talk about the Rockets, but
right.
you were saying that there's like a Jalen Green dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you speak on that?
Essentially, I think the Jalen Green dilemma. It's not even. I mean, I feel like that they need a scoring punch that they're not getting from him consistently. And even though he has improved a bit defensively, I still don't like him as a decision maker consistently all the time. And if you're not providing any scoring output consistently along with that, I think that's a problem for them because they have other guys who are. I mean, Amin's probably not
Yeah,
the scorer that Jalen is, but he just processes the game a lot better, and he's also a lot better defensively. And he just provides a lot of things, even as a rebounder, as a help side guy, just all kind of things that. And even I mean, even a guy like Reed, I think if Reed were given more of an opportunity for the Rockets, I think just him, even just from a processing standpoint, would just be better for the Rockets than Jalen Green is because he does hold the ball too much sometimes. I feel like he doesn't. I feel like just like a lot of his reads and things like that are kind of late. And then also, he's also just one of the worst of like isolation efficiency players in the league right now. I think he's shooting something crazy like 13% in isolation or something like that. And your
That's what
main
I'm
job
saying.
is to be a
Every
scorer.
time I watch Jalen Green, he gets good separation, looks pretty. He's
Hmm.
in the isolation. You can't even guard him. I'm like, damn, and then he bricks. He's That's his move is to get separation and then brick. And he gets hot sometimes,
Hmm.
and that's nice when he does. He looks like a great player because he's kind of unguardable because he's got all the moves. And he's got makes it look good and everything. It just don't go in. I don't know. He's like a six man to me, like a guy that gets hot, like a
Yeah.
Jamal Crawford, Cam Thomas, like, but even less. He's not even as good as Cam Thomas, you know. But he'd be like a good six man, like fucking Peyton Pritchard or something, coming off the bench. Like put him in the Ty Jerome like lane. But I don't know. I'd much rather have Amen Thompson on the court or
Hmm.
even Reed Shepard. I bet you if you gave Reed Shepard the same amount of shots that Jalen Green was getting, he'd probably be more efficient. Not saying that he
And he can run the offense way better.
right. And so they gave him a contract, like a 3 year contract. And if I was them, I'd be looking to trade him more. I'd just say, you know what, you're our sixth man. And I'm starting Ben Thompson. I'd be starting Ben Thompson. I'd be trying
Hmm.
to play him like 40 minutes a game. Like this dude needs all the practice he can get and all the reps he can get because this is the future of our team. He's going to be the best player on the team, honestly. So that's who they need in Reed Shepard. But right now you got Fred, who I talk shit about, but he is the most professional player on the team. He
Hmm.
actually like gets them organized, and so you can't really take him off the court. So I would say that Amen has to play more, but that's just me. I mean, Ime will get to that point with Jalen Green, probably where he does, because I think that um, Ime is really figuring this team out and what's working for them. And if Jalen Green is not going to be like the best route for them, like Ime won't be shot. He'll sit his ass down. So I don't know what their like long term outlook is with him, but I'm not out on Jalen Green as a player totally. But as a starter on like an elite team, yeah, I am. And his defense is not good, so that's another thing. And you know, Ime doesn't like that. Like it's not terrible, but it's not good.
Yeah, it's
You
passable.
know?
He's made some
Yeah, but it's
strides,
not like
like
how these other guys are that they got on
right,
the
where
team.
there are real positives on that side of the court.
Exactly. So um, the Warriors, they've been up and down. Well, is something going on with Steph?
Yeah, he's questionable tomorrow with I think he has patella soreness in both knees, which is crazy. I mean, that's just age at that
Yeah,
point, to be
that's
honest.
yeah.
Which is the thing I was most afraid of with.
What you tweet? My boy is old now.
Yeah, nah,
So
yeah, soreness in
it's
both patella.
official
That's old man stuff at that point. It's nothing much you can do at that point.
with
But
that. Yeah,
also, the last two games, we've lost. We lost to the Spurs, and then we lost to Brooklyn the last two games, and we lost our games pretty much when the second units come in. The second unit has not been featuring Jonathan Kuminga in the last two games, and it's like just his lack of because the Warriors lack a lot of elite athletes. He's one of the few elite athletes on the team that can, like I said, break the paint consistently, get downhill, sometimes
yep.
create his own shot, and
And he's the only one that gets to
he's
the rack
he's a
on
good
the team,
defender.
basically.
He can rebound. He can. I mean, he's the one player on the team who could do a little bit of everything. So like, just missing a guy like that through two games is pretty much shown that we need a guy like that. So I think I think that's been a big reason why we lost the last two games. And I mean, I really can't. I mean,
Moving Kuminga to the bench made Kuminga one of the best bench players in the NBA because he's
yes.
good enough to be a starter on a lot of
Hmm.
teams. So now that affects your bench, obviously, because you remove one of the best players in the bench. I mean, one of the best bench players in the league off your bench. Of course, and he's one of the only guys that gets to the rack, and he's not on this level. But I say the same thing when Jalen doesn't play. If Jalen's out for a couple of weeks or a couple games, we stop going to the basket because Jalen's our main guy that gets the basket. He gets the basket a lot, probably more than a lot more than Kaminga. But I know what you mean when I'm saying that. Like he's one of those athletes that'll get out in transition, he'll attack the rack, he can draw attention, create an advantage, all those things, get to the foul line. And so I understand that. But the Spurs, I switched that to the Spurs because they just beat the Warriors, and
Hmm.
Wemby has been showing me a lot lately. And my personal, one of my favorite players that I'm in the fan club, Steph Castle, has really been showing up and looking like the rookie of the year or going to be in the running for it. I think he's going to rise up to the top. That was my preseason pick to get Rookie of the Year, so I'm going to ride with him. But I think that by the end of the season, I think he will have a great argument to be Rookie of the Year
Mm-hmm.
because he's slowly but surely gaining more confidence. Really, since Popovich had his like heart attack and they got the new coach in. Not to say that I'm sure they love Pop, but the new coach, I feel like that he's kind of like let Wemby and Castle like
Just kind of do the thing. Yep.
I think get more comfortable. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've been watching them and I feel like they're playing a little more comfortable with Pop not around. Maybe it's the new coach just talking to them a little different or giving them a little different sets or whatever. But anyways, Castle looked amazing. His defense is really good. He's going to be one of those
Mm-hmm.
elite defensive guards like Suggs or Ahmed Thompson or Dyson Daniels. But his offense is actually really, really good. He's going to be better than those guys on offense to me. I'm actually kicking myself for not putting him in my top 20 under 25 list. I put Klingon, and I had Steph Castle as an honorable mention and I had Dyson Daniels. And if I had to go back, like I honestly think that I might put Steph Castle over both of those guys. But it's like hard, who knows how their projections are going to go because I like all those players. But Steph Castle, I think his ceiling's a little higher offensively. I love his game, but you've been watching him too. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think what I love about Castle mostly is his feel. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, he just doesn't really make
Right,
too many mistakes on the court, and he's
and that's the first thing I always say about him.
he's pretty much good at like every. He doesn't really have a weakness. I mean, he's good at everything. He can do a little bit of everything. And when you have a player like that, and if I think, I mean, I think his jump shot can develop. I'm not sure how consistent it will be, but if it were to
He's been
develop, I
hitting
mean,
a
that's
little
very
bit
good.
more,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think
but
I think
he's
I think
not ever going to be like a sharpshooter. But
Yeah, I think when he does round out his game, though, he'll be one of the most all around players in the league. And like, if you
yeah.
have a guy like that at the guard position next to Wemby with his size and his
And the
defensive
point of attack, and then you
capabilities,
got Wemby back there.
yeah,
Man,
I think that's a yeah. I think the
that's
Spurs
an elite
do have something
defense right
good.
there.
And if they're ever able to keep Vassell healthy with I think Castle and Vassell
Yeah,
can have really good chemistry. I think the Spurs have something
yeah.
really good going with those three players. So I do
They're
like
gonna be scary
I do
in a
like their
couple of
team.
years. They even scary kind of right now against bad teams like the Wizards and who they just play. Not the Warriors, I was saying, are a
Utah.
bad team, but Utah. Man, they're scary, and they're only 20 years old and shit. So I love their team, and Wemby's been playing great, and he's been shooting more consistently. He's actually proven to me that like his 3-point shot is
It's
actually
worth the
real.
yeah.
It's real. It's a real shot, and it does still kind of
Shadow.
get annoying when he's like missed like 5 in a row, and I'm like, bro, uh, go to the basket, like especially because I know that he could just dominate down there sometimes on certain matchups, and I feel like he gets a little too cute with it. But I'm not really here to complain about Wemby because he's been showing me and proving to me a lot, and his passing. I've been paying attention really ever since you like pointed out to me that his passing is really underrated. Like I've been watching that. And that Warriors game, his passing was great. The especially that one where he got Draymond with like
Hmm.
the at the end of the game when Harrison Barnes like Draymond was on him and he draws so much attention, Wemby, that Draymond has to because usually Draymond can guard like two people at once
Right.
because that's
But
how
he's
good
so
he is.
big.
Wemby's gotta use so much of like your attention on Wemby. Harrison Barnes came cutting and there was nothing Draymond could do. Wemby just handed Barnes the ball, and Barnes went up right up for a layup. It was just like that was so simple basketball, but like it was because Wemby's Wemby, and he's like that
He could just
big
see.
and
He could just see
talented.
over. He could just see over everybody, and
Yeah,
and I think that's what makes him just such a great passer because he can literally see over the defense, like no matter what. And he could just throw passes at all different kind of angles from wherever.
yeah,
That's really. And I think last year he was a little bit more turnover prone. This year he's cleaned up on those kind of things a little bit. In
yeah.
my
He still has games where he does have a lot of
right.
turnovers, but
Yeah, I
and
just
he
think.
has games sometimes where he has like no assists and shit like
Mhm.
that. Like he's just, I feel like he's just trying shit out there.
Yeah,
Like and he
yeah, I agree. Yeah, and
And
that's
when
the
he
scariest part.
finally just like cracks the code of like everything he needs to do to win a basketball game, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yep.
And so I can't wait to see like hopefully Chet stays healthy and like OKC rises, and then you got Steph Castle, you got Wemby and them rising in the West, and those are going to be two like juggernaut teams to battle. And that's going to be great for the NBA, honestly. Um, The Blazers, we can talk about the Blazers a little bit because I like watching them. I like Shane Sharp and stuff, but I know you want to talk about them.
So yeah, man. They got the win over the Rockets. The second night of the second night of the back to back. The first night, the Rockets did blow them out. They just weren't able
Yeah,
to sides. Klingon got three early personal fouls that kind of took him out of the game. It was kind of downhill from there. But in the second game of the back to back, yeah, man, Klingon had like 19 rebounds going into the third quarter. He left with a knee injury because I think he collided knees with like Dylan Brooks or something like that, and he's been out the last two games because of that. But yeah, in that game, he was very dominant on the boards. He was very
yeah,
dominant
he's a
defensively
monster.
as a rim protector and things like that. He's a great screen setter, a good passer, just all very additive things at the center position. So
And he's so big too. Like
yeah,
people don't realize
he
how
just
big
he
Klingon is.
takes up so much space on the court. It's
He's
actually
like a
ridiculous.
fridge.
And
He's out there huge.
he had a three, I think, in the first game. I think one day that could be something for him because he's been a pretty good
Yeah,
free throw shooter so far into his career.
it doesn't
So
look
yeah,
bad. He's kind of got a
I like.
smooth shot. It looks,
Yeah.
but
And Shaden, I mean, he wasn't really efficient in those two games, but like again, he was playing Tari Eason and Amin Thompson. In the second game, he was able to come alive a little bit in the fourth quarter. He was able to do some things down the stretch that were able to get them the win. So yeah,
he's their best player though. Even when he does like a average game, it's still like
yeah, he's there.
by
Yeah,
far to me the most like uh outstanding player on the
talented,
team.
yeah, consistent player. Yeah, because I think he's the one that can make the quick decisions and score a little bit. When
And
I
he scores so easily.
right,
When he scores, I feel like he doesn't have to try hard.
hmm
That's why I feel like he's going to be such an elite scorer. And I said on the last podcast that I think he's going to be a 30-point scorer one day. Because when he scores, it's like, bro, he just scored like 10 points and he barely even wasted any energy. I feel like he just fell into him, like
yep,
because he's so good and talented and athletic. And he basically just jumped higher than you to shoot or over you. And that's kind of how Michael Jordan was. Not
yeah, especially
comparing him to Michael
especially
Jordan, but Michael Jordan didn't have like a crazy bag, and Shaden Sharp doesn't have a crazy bag. But what Shaden Sharp can do is he can rise over you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's how Jordan was. So, like,
yep,
not comparing him to Michael Jordan, but like if he's a shooting guard and he's 6'6" and like he flies in the air, so it's kind of hard not to comp him to like
right.
that. But yeah, I really like Shaden. I can't wait to see him and Klingon in the future too. Like just get better and better. But yeah, the Raptors. Scotty Barnes is back.
Yep.
That's good. He's been like up and down, and I've always been up and down on Scotty Barnes. But at his when he's really playing and he's healthy and everything, especially this season, he looks like he's shooting a little better. I like Scotty Barnes a lot. Um,
Yeah, I
and
think
his
in the
defense is good, and that's why I like him because he can provide the offense, but his defense stays elite. So you talk about the Raptors though.
Yeah, I think in the last game versus the Pistons, where they the Jaden Ivey game where I think he had like 31, 10, and 7 or something crazy like that. So yeah, I just think this year even
And
in the
shout to Jaden Ivey because he got busy that game
yeah he
and hit
did
the game winner, Mr. CTE himself.
yeah Mrs. A man he's gonna give you some good, he's gonna give you some bad, but hey he does have the
He was
talent.
great that game. I think he only missed like 3 shots the whole
Right.
game and had the game winner. So that was great, a big Ivy game. And I'm glad he's not a bust because I was worried about him his rookie season. I didn't know like if he's going to be able to be like a good player, but he looks like he's going to be a starting point guard in the NBA or a starting guard. But anyways, go on about the Raptors.
Yeah, just with Scotty Barnes, I think, especially in that Minnesota game, where he was just able to wreck things in just a varied, just different ways. He was able to just switch like one through four pretty much in the Timberwolves games, just able to guard everybody on the perimeter, and even down low at times, being a good help defender and just giving them really in the fourth quarter was what impressed me about him. Was just he was able to close down the stretch of that game, and just pretty much on both sides of the court, and even as a ball handler, he's able to get downhill, draw some fouls, things like that. He had some pull-ups in that game as well. So yeah, Scotty Barnes, I just think he'll also probably be one of the better all-around players in the league. Now, although I don't think he'll be a second option, maybe he could be a second option on the right team, but maybe more so. I think I
I
like
think
him.
he could be a second option,
Yeah,
like on the right team with an elite scorer.
I like him
It'd
more
have to be
so.
an elite scorer, but yeah.
Yeah, probably like a second option. I don't really see him as the first guy, but he's a very additive player,
Yeah,
just able to do a little bit of everything, which you always need those
yeah.
kind of guys.
And you know he's the second option now to RJ Barrett's the number one option.
Yeah, he is. He is.
RJ Barrett, whatever team he's on, he's gonna get shots up, boy. He don't fuck around.
He
But
don't.
this is probably one of the better RJ Barrett seasons. Though at least
Hmm.
he's taking advantage of his opportunities. But yeah, I
Yeah,
like
even
the Raptors. I like Grady Dick. I like
yeah,
some of
Gret's
their
nice.
players. So,
Jakob had a pretty good stretch over the last 2 weeks, I'd
yeah.
say.
He's a trade
He's like,
candidate. Like I think a lot of
yeah,
teams might want Jakob Poeltl.
I think he'd be perfect for Memphis if they're able to acquire him.
That would be perfect. There's a lot of teams that could use him, but yeah, that would be perfect for him. And he's been really good. He killed the Celtics.
Yep,
He gave us like 30 points. Because he's all floaters and shit. You know, he's got a nice touch around the basket, and he's a smart player, high IQ too.
yep.
Uh, we were gonna talk about Jimmy Butler killing it until tonight when
Yeah, well,
I
he had
think
a
they
bad
lost.
game.
He kind of had a bad game. It wasn't terrible, but I always say this. He half his shots come from the free throw line, bro. He falls down every time he shoots. And he's still the refs still fall for it, and he still finds a way for people to get to foul him. So I feel like he's going to be able to do that till he's 40 years old, is to get to the foul line. But uh, yeah, he's been playing pretty good until tonight, where he was just like whatever. Um, but that what they was it the Bucks, right? That they play?
Yeah, they played the Bucks tonight. No Giannis.
Yeah, and they're getting like they found some other guy some new white dude that
Oh yeah,
shoots.
Pele Larson, he's really good. I liked him in the summer.
They always keep one.
Yeah, I actually
Duncan
liked him a lot
Robinson.
in
Then
the
you
summer
got
league, to be honest, because I just like the fact that he was able because he can handle the ball a little bit. He can get down. He because he's not just a shooter. He can get downhill a little
okay.
bit. A pretty good defender. Yeah, so I expected this from Pele, to be honest. He's
Oh
pretty good.
really?
Yeah, he
Well,
was.
I
Yeah,
didn't know who the fuck he was.
yeah. In the summer league, he really caught my eye in the summer league. I think he was good in pretty much every game they played in the summer league, and then I went back to watch some of his
But
college
the
tape
Heat
at
always find
Arizona.
somebody. That's that Heat magic.
Yeah,
And Spo always finds a shooter like Max Strus or Duncan Robinson or he found some guy, some white boy always. But yeah, that's good that Jimmy at least I knew he would eventually show up and be Jimmy Butler again, and he has looked like that in a couple games recently. So that's good because I was like getting nervous because it took him a while, but he finally showed up. Um, so they're definitely probably going to make a playoffs,
Hmm.
and then if they do make the playoffs, they're probably still one of the biggest threats to the Celtics because just the Eric Spoelstra really, and Jimmy can always turn it up for a couple games. Bam defends the Celtics very well with the switching and getting on Tatum
Yeah.
from the perimeter. So they could, they could sneak up. I don't think that they could beat us, especially if we have Porzingis, but maybe they could get a game or two. Um, but we got Alfred Payton.
Yeah,
He
crazy
came
game.
back.
But yeah,
Yeah, he
14.
came back. This is like you don't see shit like this
Yeah,
where
this
a
is out of
guy's out of the
nowhere.
league for a couple years. He's been gone for like 2 years, I feel like. And he came back, he had 21 assists.
14 points, 7 rebounds. Like, yeah, he's very good
Why was
defensively.
he not in the league?
I mean, you know how it goes. Some guys, it just takes a minute for them to come back into the league, and then they just finally find a role that's really good for them. And I think, well, I'm not sure if this is going to be a consistent thing for Alfred Payton, just considering that the amount of injuries that the Pelicans do have. But I just think that him
Right.
like, as a defensive guard and as a ball handler, I mean,
But now he might get a job somewhere else if they
yeah.
let him go because of what he did.
So yeah,
Because I don't think he got out for injuries. Like I think they just cut him because
he
they thought
just
he was
they
washed.
just thought he wasn't that good, right? So yeah, he comes into the league, and it's just great to see a guy get another opportunity in the NBA like that, and for him to take his opportunity and show out like that. So yeah, man, I'm
I
happy
didn't
for
watch
Alfred
it, so
Payton.
I feel like I need to go back and watch the highlights. But I remember Alfred Payton from all those years in Orlando and shit like that. And I used to some games he used to play pretty good. He's always been a pretty good passer
Hmm.
and shit. He could get to the basket, but he was just funny because I just like what I saw that he got back into the NBA. He got signed. I'm like, oh, that's good that he got signed. And next thing you know, I look up and he had 20 assists and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? So that's dope. That's a good story. The Sixers, they're done. I mean, it's over, right? I read that they have like a 5 or 9% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, they're fried.
Yeah, what's being done over there is malpractice, in my opinion. I can't even really necessarily. I mean, I guess because if you really look at it, I mean, Golden State pretty much took two of their role players, right? This is like, which go back to my point. Just you need good role players to be able to win this league at this point. I just feel like the 3-star model no longer works just because of
Right.
the way with the CBA is set up. Now I
You're
just think
right.
it's very hard to build out a roster around just all of that money that you have allocated into three guys. So, and I think because I mean, even we seen with Golden State. I mean, to a lesser extent with Clay, because Clay he wouldn't have made the money those guys are making, but we pretty much offered him 2 for 48, which is 24 million, right? And when we pretty much spread his 24 million into three players with Melton, even though he did end up
And
getting
that filled out your rotation.
yeah,
That
right,
was
and
the
it's got
best
a,
thing you guys could have done. And
right, exactly, and we
teams
took
are
two.
going to have to make hard decisions like that to be continue to be good. Um, and that was one of those things where I see, and you're right, it's going to be more about depth. It's going to be more about having guys on cheaper contracts
Right.
because you're only going to be able to pay two guys big money, and then maybe
Hmm.
like a third guy, not the full max, but like a bigger contract, and then everybody else is going to be like in the 10 to 12 million range.
Right.
That's on a good team. You don't want to have a lopsided team, a top heavy team. The days of the Heatles where you got like starting Mario Chalmers and shit like that just because you have to, but still being able to win because you have LeBron and Wade and Bosh. But the NBA is too deep right now, and you got benches coming in that are elite and that can put up big stretches. And you got to have a good bench. You got to have good defense. You got to have good shooting, good spacing, and then you have to have elite stars too. So
Right.
you need a lot to win in the NBA now. The skill is better than ever, and it's even though it's better than it was 10 years ago. And so you got to have better teams than you did, and that's why I laugh when people say like, "Oh, the Celtics have a super team and shit like that." It's like, bro, if you one dude gets hurt or whatever, then we're not super. Like, you need to have depth on every single team. It's the same with any team, like any championship team. Like, look at I was looking at the 2019 Raptors, and they
They
were
had a
like
lot of
10
depth.
deep. They had their 10th man was Norman Powell.
Right.
Their ninth man was OG Anunoby. Like their eighth man was fucking. Like it's just like you had to have deep teams now to win championship. Look at the Warriors
In 2022,
2022 team.
Lisa
Otto
came
Porter
in.
had a great series, great playoffs.
Lisa came
Who
in
else?
and Lisa came in and played good defense for us. I mean, Gary Payton, he comes in, he plays good defense. Like
Gary Payton was great.
you
Yeah,
need depth to win now.
you do. And that takes a great GM to do. It's not just like 2 or 3 stars linking up anymore. If it was like that, then the Suns would win the championship or the Lakers would win. But that's why the Lakers aren't good right now because
Right.
of course in many years, if you go back 10 years ago, if you plop the same Lakers team like 10 years ago, they would probably be one of the best teams in the NBA
Hmm.
because you could be top heavy back then. It's different now. So like, anyways, we were talking about the Sixers because the Sixers, I don't know, they're fried. I don't know what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna start tanking for Cooper Flag and Ace
Yeah,
Bailey
because I
soon.
think, yeah, I think the Embiid injury thing is probably a little more serious than they were leading on to be. Which I mean, at this point, we should probably expect just if we're hearing anything about Joel Embiid knee, especially I think he had meniscus surgery if I'm not
That's crazy.
mistaken. Well, I'm not this current procedure because we're not sure what that is. But I'm thinking, but prior to this, when he did miss time, when he got hurt in the Warriors game last year, I think he had meniscus surgery, and basically, it's two different ones. There's the one where you missed a full year. That was the one that Wiseman had in 2022, which is why he didn't play that year because he had the full meniscus repair, which it basically allows for your knee to get back all the way to what it was. I think, and then you have the snip, which Cat got last year, which I
Right.
think
That's what
right,
Robert Williams got
right, and I think that's why
before he hurt his knee again.
right. I think that's
So
why
it's not a great thing.
yeah, I really think that's why Minnesota ended up trading Cat because when you get the snap, snip, it's your knee is pretty much more
more
prone.
susceptible to get
Yeah, more
hurt
prone to
again.
like because eventually it becomes like bone on bone, or like 'cause I think that's what happened to D Wade essentially. So when you have those kind of, and that's what happened to Embiid. If you're compiling that with another knee procedure that he had during the offseason, and now we're at this point where he's pretty much missing every other game. It's just not good. It's not good at all for Philly.
Yeah, it's time to start the process over. They
Yes.
got, the Sixers, that's their thing. Trust the process. Well, they trusted the fucking process, and the process has to start back over again, and that means
Yep.
they need a tank. Let Jared McCain run out there, and I would sit Embiid for the season and just tank, bro, because it's over. So what's the point? I'm not saying that's what they're gonna do, but that's what they should do. And even just sit Paul George too. Let him get out because he doesn't even look right. And then what if they end up getting an Ace Bailey or a Cooper Flag? Um, Imagine if they got that and then they came back next year with Jared McCain, uh, uh, Tyrese
Tyrese Maxey.
Maxey, Cooper Flag, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. They would be one of the favorites to win the championship. So, that's what happened with the Spurs back in the day. They tanked. They let David Robinson sit,
Then they got Tim
and then they
Duncan.
ended up with 10. They got the number one pick. Because the Spurs were actually a decent team, and they just had David Robinson get hurt for a little while and then sit the rest of the year. And they tanked, and they got Tim Duncan, and then the rest is history. So, that could be something that happens for the Sixers, but, that would take a lot of luck, obviously. But I like this draft. Even if you don't get a Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey, there's
Right,
like
there are
about
other
four or
guys.
five other guys that I like. So I think that their backcourt is good, though. I think their future backcourt with uh, McCain and Maxey, or even if you trade one of those guys, that's a great asset. Either one of them is tradable to
Hmm.
get another player in. So they're not like dead in the water in the future.
Yeah, they have
They could even
assets.
trade Embiid if they got like, what if you get Cooper Flag or one of those guys, and then you say, you know what, we're gonna hit the reset button. We're gonna go with McCain, Maxey, and Cooper Flag
And whatever
or Ace
returns we
Bailey.
get for Embiid, you could probably
So
build
I
a
think
good
that's a move
roster
for
after
the
that.
Sixers to trust the process once again. We'll see what they do, and I know that like
Hopefully they let Morey see out this vision, unlike Hinkie.
right, and they shitted on Hinkie, but Hinkie was terrible at drafting. He drafted awful. He drafted
Yeah, that's true.
like Jaleel Okafers and all these other dudes. You know,
Michael Carter
Mark,
Williams.
yeah, Michael Carter Williams, and then they take Markel Fultz over Tatum. So I don't know if that was Hinkie, but same kind of
That might have
thing
been
where they were just
Elfenbrand.
tanking. Yeah, but they either way, yeah, they're gonna have to get lucky again. But I don't think that they're gonna throw in the towel. They'll probably try to go like another month, but if they keep losing,
Hmm.
and then it's time to start hitting the tank button. Um, and speaking of that, like I've heard a lot of people say that Ace Bailey is better than Cooper Flag, and I'm just here to tell everybody that Ace Bailey's only got one assist for the whole season so far. And he's got a nice jumper. He's 6'10". He reminds me of like a Michael Porter Jr. a little bit, maybe a little bit better bag than that. But he's not a Carmelo Anthony or
Hmm.
something like that people are trying to say that he is. Because I heard people compare him to like Carmelo or like, and he says that he patterns his game after T Mac and after Jason Tatum. But he don't really get downhill like that. He don't get
Right.
into the paint. He just shoots a lot of jump
Yeah, he
shots. And
shoots
I
a
haven't
lot
liked
of. Yeah, he shoots like a lot of tough shots. A lot of tough
right.
contested shots. I
And
think.
he's got all the ability in the world, but I think he's going to be a few year project. I don't think he's going to be like Cooper Flag. I feel like he'll come right in and be a starting player right away.
Hmm.
Um, he's got a lot to work on too, like as far as his scoring. But he should still be in high school right now. He's only 17, and he's doing what he's doing. I was watching him tonight too. I watched him for like 20 minutes, and he looked really good. And then he made a mistake at the end of the game in the clutch, and he did a spin move, and they ripped the ball from him, and they lost to Kansas. But he had good plays too. His defense is elite for how big he is. He's guarding point guards. He's getting low. Like he looks like Kevin
Hmm.
Garnett when it comes to like being a big guy that can, or a Bam Adebayo. Like he's in that realm. But then he's like Bam on the switching, and then when he goes up to contest shots, he's like uh, Chet Holmgren or something. Like he's flying up there to get shots quickly too. He's got a quick leap. His defense is elite, and that's going to translate immediately. And then his passing is really good, his handle and everything. So he's going to be like an elite role player, Jalen Johnson with a little better handle, kind of.
Hmm.
And then once he starts to learn how to score more, and shoot a little better. I think all that's going to come. I really think that Cooper Flag is going to be a really, really great player. Uh, and he has the mindset for it too. And he's not scared of the moment, scared of like anybody. And we already heard about him at Team USA, and they were all like blown away by him too.
Right.
So I definitely think he's going to be the number one pick, and I think maybe number two could maybe even be Ace Bailey's teammate Dylan Harper. But I don't know. Anyways, there's a lot of smoke and a lot of rumors and people on Twitter saying that Cooper Flag is not going to go number one. He is. I guarantee he's going to be
Yeah,
the
that's
number
the
one pick.
most sure number one prospect we've had in a while.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing on draft, because I do want to talk about draft, like maybe do a mock draft when it comes
Mm-hmm.
towards draft season. So I'm going to be studying this year a little bit more than I usually do with the college players. I'm going to study the tape a little bit more, but I heard that AJ DeMantis is going to BYU.
Yeah, he is
So that's
next year.
he is. So yeah, that's crazy. BYU's got that NIL money, I guess now because ain't no
Yeah,
way
they
he's
got
going to BYU.
Igor Demon too. I think to me his second
Yeah, they're
best.
paying like professional, like they're acting like it's a pro team at BYU. How are they getting these NBA players now? Because why are these kids going to Utah? I have no idea. And
Right.
like, wait, AJ DeBanza, I thought he was going to pick like North Carolina or like Michigan. BYU just threw me off. So it has to be the money. That's a Boston
Okay,
kid too. He's from Brockton,
these
Massachusetts.
NIL
He's from
deals, man.
Ground, huh?
So these NIL deals, man.
Yeah, it's crazy with the college shit. But I can't wait to watch AJ when he gets to college. But because I think he's even got a higher upside than Cooper.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's my guy, man. AJ. Yeah, that's one of my favorite prospects I've said.
no, he's the real deal. He's got the whole everything, the defense, the number one. Because I think that Cooper is going to be like an elite, like a Chet Holmgren,
Right,
like
at number
an
two.
elite
That's how I
number
feel about
two,
Chet.
like
That's
an
how I feel about
elite number two
that's how I
though,
feel
not a
about Cooper
regular
as
number
well.
two.
Right. That's how I feel about Cooper as well. I think he's going to be one of the best number twos in the league.
Yeah, he will.
I think AJ has a chance to be a real number one.
Yeah, like super number one. Absolutely, I agree with you. So we're on the same page with that. All right, now Zion. Um, I want to talk about that because, first of all, his agency let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was hearing about his contract recently, how like they actually can cut him next year, and his contract is based on like he has to meet a weight clause, and then he has
Mm-hmm.
to meet a total games clause. If he doesn't play like over 40 games, he doesn't get like half the money. If he doesn't play up to 60 games, he doesn't get a certain amount of money. And I'm almost thinking that they might cut their losses in the summer. I don't know if they will, but they have an out where they can cut him and like eat some of the money, but move on. They won't get anything for him, but and like it's tough to lose that asset. But how I don't see why they would keep trying to count on him to be the number one if this is going to keep happening. Like they're going to go another season next year and do the same shit that they did this year.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think big changes are needed in Pelicans. They're one of the most aggravating rosters because I like a lot of their players,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish that I could blow that team up or make. I wish I was the GM of that team because they already lost Dyson Daniels and fucked that up. And I'm just like, bro, they're just gonna keep fucking this up. They're gonna lose Brandon Ingram. They're not gonna get no assets back. They're gonna lose Zion. They're not gonna get any assets back. And they're just, man, they're fucking that whole roster up. But what do you think about the Pels?
Yeah, because I think, 2 years ago, I think the Pelicans trajectory looked pretty crazy if you just took into
Yeah,
account
with
all the
Herb
talent
Jones,
on the
Trey, and
roster.
they still
Yeah,
got good players too. I mean, it's not over for them, but yeah, man, with Zion being hurt, it kind of ruins everything.
yeah. I just think, yeah. I mean, at this point, especially with the numerous amount of leg injuries he's had throughout the duration of his pretty much short career, and with his play style and things like that, I think it would be pretty hard to be able to say that we can keep relying on this guy, especially if we're considering like just some of his off the court habits and things like that. Not, I mean, not to say that he's not a good guy or anything like that. I mean, he's a
Right.
but it's just
Or he don't know how to. He doesn't
his
diet
work.
right,
Yeah, it's
obviously.
his work habits aren't up to standard of a guy that you would want to lead your team necessarily. And I think that if you look at it from that perspective, it's pretty hard to be able to just buy into that guy consistently. Like as a franchise, I think he's talented enough to a point where a team would take another chance on him, but I think you
Right, but
could.
they're not going to give out a lot of assets
Right, I
back.
think you
So
could get assets back. I don't think you. I don't think cutting it would be the move. But I mean, if it came down to
yeah.
that, he didn't have any trading marker or something like that. I think he had
No,
to
I
give
was
it
just bringing that up
anything.
because I read that they actually can do that. Like
Oh yeah, they can.
that's rare. They have like one of those. They have a really strange contract that Zion has that
Hmm.
not nobody else has, and so I was just bringing that to the podcast.
Right,
I didn't really know that. I don't really think that they're going to cut him. You should try to at least get like some second round picks or some late first round picks for him, or at least like maybe a young player or something for him. Like get something for him if you can. But it's just a big salary, and then if they count on him next year to come in and be the franchise player again, it's just like how many years in a row are you guys going to do this?
right.
As a GM, I wouldn't want to. I'd be trying to look for an out. Um, but yeah, but they got Dejounte Murray coming back, so we'll see
Hmm.
how that looks, and they need him. But the Magic have been rolling all defense, looking like an early 2000s team
Yeah,
in the 90s. They can't really shoot threes, but Orlando's got great defense, and Franz is playing really good. And we talked about Franz a lot last pod, but you got what do you got to say about the Magic? Because they're pretty impressive, honestly. And if they get Paolo back, then they're
hmm
going to be one of the best teams in the East. They already are. They're like number 4 seed. So the fact that they're winning without Paolo is pretty impressive.
yeah. I think the biggest story for the Magic, for me, has been Anthony Black. Just his development. I mean, he's been pretty a pretty high turnover guy, but even through the
Yeah,
turnovers, and he still kind of struggles with his shot, especially as a pull up guy. I think he's
but his
been
defense is
good.
really good.
He's still making an impact as a defensive player. You know, he's rebounding. He's not turning the ball over, his passes are usually pretty good. I mean, I think his handle's a little loose, but once he improves on that, it just becomes a better, just more consistent shooter. I think just him added alongside, maybe it's a bench guy because I'm not sure. I think he could play next to Franz and Apollo, but I think just him as a ball handler, just giving him juice in the second unit will probably be more beneficial for him, and then he could just kind of get his way. Like I said, just running the second unit and things like that. So I like Anthony. Anthony Black has been the most impressive thing for since Paulo's been out to me personally.
Yeah, and I mean, my me is Franz, because I've been really watching him more closely.
Hmm.
Obviously, everybody has because he's been putting on the show, but he's just showing me a lot as far as like passing. I always knew he was a good passer, but uh, he makes like elite reads, um, and he's tall enough to see over the defense and
Hmm.
make those passes. And the guys just really can't shoot for them. And I think that if they just get some shooters, and that's what they were. The idea that was with KCP was to get like an elite shooter that could play defense. But they need to, if it's not going to be KCP, they need to get maybe Jet Howard out there,
Hmm.
somebody. But they need shooters out there, because yeah, they have an elite defense and that helps. But these passes that Franz and eventually Paulo are making, um, they need somebody to hit those shots, and they have one of the worst shooting teams, actually the 30th
Yeah, the 30th.
in 3 point shooting. And so, and he's getting games where he's getting 9 and 10 assists. Imagine if they could actually shoot, how many assists he would be getting.
Right.
So yeah, but the Magic, their defense is really elite, and that's why I was laughing because people complain about the NBA being like too many threes and too much like offense and shit. I'm like, if you miss old 2000 basketball,
Yeah,
watch the
go watch the
Magic
Magic.
because the game is going to be 95. They just held the Hornets to like 90 something points. They're going to be in the 90s, or if they crack 100, it's like back in the day when I was coming up, when the Paul Pierce days and shit. If we cracked 100, it was like a
It
great
was a great
offensive
game.
night. Yeah, we look. If you got to 100 points, you was probably going to win that game. Uh, so what else? We got just we could talk about the Pistons, but we already did. We talk about Ivy,
Right.
um, and then you wanted to talk about Trey. We could wrap it up with Trey.
Yeah, man. The Hawks are kind of stuck at this point because I feel like they're kind of at a rock and a hard place, just with the way that they want, what the way they should build their team, just with Trey being on the team as well. Because I just think he takes away from the size and versatility lineup that can kind of ball handle and play defense and do a little bit of everything. Right when Trey is just a guy who's stopping the ball.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just think that the Hawks probably are gonna have to move him, in my opinion. I mean, because I don't, because I just don't think he's good. I just don't think he fits their identity long term.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. Then might have to move Trey, and I know exactly what you mean. And I think the motivation that they got from that game against the Celtics when Trey didn't play
Mm-hmm.
is probably the vision for they see for the future of the team, which is Dyson Daniels running the team as a point guard, as like a defensive, like Drew Holiday type of point guard, and having an athletic team because they have this. If they put Ricochet at the two, or and Jalen Johnson at the four, and who's the other one? Who am I missing?
Oh, DeAndre Hunter or Onyeka?
Yeah, or they put Hunter, or they put Bogdanovich. Either way, like that's a good defensive team. And then they got Capella. They got
Big
what's
O,
my guy's name?
Onyeka.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And so like that's a great defensive team, and I think that that's probably their vision for the future, especially if Dyson Daniels keeps progressing offensively. But I don't know. Like I told you last time, it's I think Trey's a little bit injured. He's not
Mm-hmm.
100% right now, and he could be a little better. And so, like, I would be scared of getting rid of him, and then he goes to another team and starts lighting it up. But I don't know. Some days I feel like you're right that they probably just need to move on. But I don't know how many teams would want him, but I
Right.
think there would be a team that would take a chance on Trey. But you're not going to get everything you want for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to trade for equal value when you trade. So I mean that's true. I do agree with that.
Yeah. But we had a good episode 6.
Yes,
So
sir.
these are going by quick, but shit, and I don't even want to get off with you because I already know that we have more shit that we could have talked about.
No
But
facts.
we've been going for like an hour and a half, so that's why we love this shit. But all right, man. So
All
we'll
right,
get
my
to y'all
brother.
next week. Oh yeah, to the listeners, make sure if you got this far in the podcast, then I know y'all fuck with us. So go give us a 5 star on Apple Podcasts, and make sure you give us a thumbs up, comment on the YouTube and everything. But we thank y'all for listening, and it's Ball Up Top. Shout out from Brad and Jabari.
Yes, sir.
See you guys next time.
Peace.